Hello. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I have with me a guest, and it's a little experimental, but we are running with it. And we're glad you're here. This is the Virtual Tech Lab. What we do is we do a little thing to introduce you to Storj, but we also want to take your questions. So as we're talking, use the chat, talk to us, and we'll try to answer your questions as we go. But without further ado, my guest is JT Olio, the Chief Architect at Storj. JT, if you would want to take a brief moment, introduce yourself, how you started at Storj, what you do there, and take it away.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm JT. I started at Storj 5 years ago. I've been involved since the beginning of the V3 storage project, storage network. It's exciting to be here today. I'm excited to goof around and set up Pixelfed. If you have been paying attention to broader internet trends, of course, the Fediverse, Mastodon, Pixelfed, big things happening right now. So we're going to just try and figure out, how to back Pixelfed with storage, and I think this will be exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great segue to the agenda.
All right, here's the agenda.
No spoilers here. Today we're going to set up the
No
Pixelfed server, and then we're going to get connected to Storj. And so
hashtag no spoilers.
Awesome. So let's do it. I am going to JT ask you what is the first thing you need to set up a server?
Well, you used to need to go to like CompUSA and get, like a 486 off the shelf and a beige metal box. But I see you've pulled up Google Cloud.
Yes.
And this is great. We're going to start a virtual machine in someone else's house.
So let's go ahead and call it Pixelfed 2. Because why not? I happen to live in Utah, so why not choose Salt Lake City? And
I lived in Utah once.
Yeah, I remember that. That was great.
Yeah, it was a good 36 years.
It's that long, really?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with, that's way too much. What size of machine do you think we'll need?
I don't know. Does Pixelfed's documentation say anything?
You know what? I don't think it does. This is the documentation we're going to be following.
I think we just go and right size it. So let's just pick, a small basic size, and then
you know what? It says this is a good size, so
we can always increase it. Well, Google does.
8 cents an hour. Right. So by the end of this, we should have only spent 8 cents. So that's good.
Great.
I'm going to enable the HTTPS traffic for the firewall. That's always a great option to check, especially for what we're going to do, because
we're going to be serving HTTP and HTTPS traffic from this box. I think it makes sense to click. Yeah.
So one pitfall I always run into is when you don't enable that and your server's just like not responding. It's pretty awful to work around if you've never ran into that before. So I'm gonna start maybe a little conflict here. I'm gonna go with Ubuntu. I know
I didn't say anything.
I know you're a Debian fan, so. But
that's another good question: is how do you pronounce the
original
distribution that Ubuntu is based off of?
You know what?
Dan says Debian. Did you know the name? It comes from Ian, who created the distribution. I think his significant other, his name was Debbie. So I think that means Debian is the right pronunciation.
Debian. Okay. So then the question would be, how do you pronounce those moving images? I guess would be the next thing to discuss.
Vine, definitely Vine.
TikToks.
Yeah. If you see the letters GIF together, that spells Vine.
Okay. That's helpful because I never knew.
There's all these
that.
arguments about it, and they're all wrong. It's fine.
All right. So now I have my VM running. I'm going to want to connect to it. And the way to do that is to give my machine my public SSH key. And so I hit edit on my VM. And under SSH keys right here, I'm going to add an item. And I happen to have a public SSH key. So don't put in your private one, the one without .pub. That would be bad. But
this is like one of those late night shows where everyone pretends that we haven't pre-gamed this.
Exactly.
Oh, do go on, Conan. I didn't know you were going to ask me that question.
Exactly. Well, it's just some good SSH hygiene to know, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
You don't want to share your private key. Okay, so that is saving. We have a VM. And I happen to know that I'll have to hit back here twice. 3 times. Okay, so now I can SSH into this box. Okay, so we have a machine, and so now let's set up our Pixelfed server. So at this docs, it says the first thing to do is install a bunch of dependencies, namely the HTTP server, SQL database, PHP FPM. Do you know what FPM stands for? Maybe you can Google that, figure that out.
I'm going to Google that.
And while you're doing that, I prepared actually...
It's the fast CGI process manager. Okay. I was wondering where fast CGI went. Here's the real question. Are you going to install Apache with the worker configuration or pre-fork Apache?
I'm not going to use Apache because...
I know. Let's do Nginx.
I've used Apache, but Nginx is good too. And it requires one less mod, as you can tell from this guide. Apache needs a mod, whereas Nginx does not. So
that's true.
All right, so I ran this command to get some dependencies to add the apt repository for PHP. So that command is there.
Great.
And I should just hit enter without reading that. I think that's the default action that most people take. Kind of like the terms of service dialogue.
I read all of those.
Really? What was your main takeaway from reading all of those?
Don't know. People like to cover their ears.
Okay.
Their rears. Cover their rears. Also, people like to cover their ears.
Great. So now let's get PHP on this box, should we?
Let's do it. Let's install.
I did this. I'm going to make this variable called version 8.1. What that's going to allow me to do is install a whole bunch of dependencies for PHP, and with this command here. So you'll notice that I have PHP $version. So what's going to happen when I hit enter is it's going to check this variable and replace it in line here so that 8.1 gets replaced. And
you are getting fancy.
Yeah. Well, I figure like I could have just typed 8.1 a lot of times, but I didn't want to.
But instead you typed $version a lot of times.
Yes. So instead I typed a much longer thing.
Yeah.
But sometime in the future I may change it to 8.2. So
The
then,
programmer's curse.
so other things in here is Nginx, MySQL, and we have Redis and Git and GCC, and then libjpeg and optpng. I don't know what that means. And then pgquant or quaint, probably quant. So let's go ahead and hit enter there. So we're going to download 879 megabytes of things. And this will get us through a majority of the dependencies they list here. So we have the HTTP server with Nginx. We have the SQL server. We have PHP. We have Git. We have Redis. We have GD. We have JPEG. No, that one comes later. We have this one and this one and this one. So with that one command, we're getting a majority of our server set up. So
Wow.
So since we have the chief architect here, what's something you're excited about with storage? That's
It's
coming up.
just broadly the entire on our upcoming roadmap.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff that I'm excited about. I think one of the things that I've been focused on recently has been just preparing for our upcoming support of the ZK Sync 2.0 launch. That's an exciting one.
Okay.
We've got some work in the pipeline to get object lock and object versioning supported, so that's exciting. But more than that, I think the sort of the even longer term picture is continuing to improve performance and try and figure out how to make things even faster. So, this is the part of the grind of improving infrastructure that I'm really excited about. I don't know.
Yeah, I hear.
Was this a guerrilla interview trick?
Yeah.
I didn't come for an interview. No, it's great.
How do you see yourself as an employee at Storj if we move forward with you?
Yes, this is good. Well,
Okay.
I my biggest weakness is not knowing what my strengths are.
Oh yeah, I have that problem too.
Yeah.
All right, so now that's set up in Nginx. It just so happens they have this
in Nginx.
Nginx. Am I saying it wrong? All right.
I don't know. You're saying it great.
So that's, what should we call this default configuration? Pixelfed dot maybe 2 dot Dan Willoughby dot dev. Why not? Okay.
Great.
And then I'm going to edit that file. And then I'm going to forget to use sudo.
Gotta super user do your command.
So let's do pixelfed 2 dot Dan Willoughby dot dev.
Great.
And then we need to remove that default sites enabled, right? We got to remove that one so that doesn't hijack our server. And then we'll need to, whoops. Is it -S? I need to make a symlink to have my site be enabled. But I take that from sites available.
You're going to take sites available and then make a link to it. And where are you going to put that link?
To enabled.
Yeah.
Okay. So we did two things there. We made a new configuration for our HTTP server. And now we're going to see if it works. But the way
I didn't realize symlinking would just take the name of the base name of the path. But it's an interesting fact. You
Oh,
didn't
right
need to
there.
specify the file name on the right side. Yeah, that's great. That's neat.
Yeah, yeah. That one I learned from being lazy. So next step here is to give our server a way to talk to the browser, or otherwise known as a DNS record. I'm going to go ahead and create a new record, Pixelfed 2, and it's an A record.
What happened to Pixelfed 1?
Pixelfed
There it
1
is.
was created yesterday so that we could avoid common setbacks during the stream, so that it wouldn't take us a very long time to get through everything. But it still kind of is. All right. I think now we can install certbot, so some more dependencies here.
Do you remember what it was like before certbot? Oh
Man,
man.
you
Oh
should take us down
man.
memory lane, because maybe those watching this stream won't remember how painful it used to be to get.
If you wanted SSL, you had to go to an SSL company like DigiCert or VeriSign or Thought or don't even remember. So many different ones. And then you had to pay them like $200.
Have you read this terms of service?
Amazing. No, I have not. No, but have you been reading the drama that's going on the certificate authority mailing list?
I haven't.
Yeah, if you want, that's a Google group that should be boring, but it has not been boring recently.
Okay. Is the
Sorry.
give us a high level summary of the drama.
I don't know what the high level is. That's worth reading. I'll give you enough of a link. Hang on, let me find it. I'll post it in the chat for the watchers.
What we have here now is a server running, so that's awesome. Next, I'll want to set up my SQL database. So I'll open the database and create a database called Pixelfed. And then...
Oh, wait, you went with Apache?
No, I don't think so. It does say Apache, though.
Yeah. You might want to uninstall Apache.
And maybe I want to do Apache.
And enable Nginx.
Let's just see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
I need to create a database user, and I need a password for my database. I'm going to do password gen, 20 characters. Okay. And then for good measure, I want to grant all privileges.
Now that's the same password you use for everything else, right?
Yeah, that's my Google account password.
That's your Google account password. Great.
And my social security.
That's your social security number.
Yeah, my tax return password. For those watching, we're just following the guide here. Okay.
Which said to enter in your social security password.
Exactly. So now I want to make some changes to the FPN. Namely, I want to make sure, I want to be able to upload more than just 8 megabytes. And then we'll make the max file size larger too. And then you would think that would be all. But it turns out maybe we're using Nginx. Maybe we're using Apache. But it turns out that if we set this limit, and maybe we should have done this after we saw the error. So let's just comment that out and show the error. All right, so now we need Composer. So putting that in the chat, here's how you install Composer. Turns out that they give you...
Oh, when you post stuff in the chat, you get a little storage logo. I don't get a storage logo. Oh, am I logged in as my personal account? That's what's happening.
Yeah, you must be. Have you typed in the chat? I'm not seeing anything.
I totally did.
Oh. All right, so we've now installed Composer. Next is JPEG Optim. These instructions will be posted later, so don't worry too much about what I'm doing here. But basically, I've cloned this repo, and I'm running the build commands that they specify in their README. I'm a really fast typer. All right, so now we can install Pixelfed. So I think we should remove these files here because we don't need them anymore. And what we'll do is replace it with...
Wouldn't it have been funny if Nginx was serving that Apache page?
I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
All right, so I'm getting this command from the guide here. We are on step generic install. Yes, we are cloning the repository. You'll notice I put a little dot there. That means clone it without having a Pixelfed directory. So if I list everything in here.
Dun, dun, dun.
And then let's go ahead and chown it. And chmod. This is just to fix the permissions so that our Pixelfed server or our Nginx server can read it. And then lastly, we need to have Composer install the dependencies for this website, which is honestly quite a lot, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Modern development depends on a towering stack of scaffolding. It's amazing. It's amazing the amount of dependencies that pressing a button on an average basis interacts with.
All right, so now we need to get the sample config. And edit that. Namely, this URL is now Pixelfed2. Fed2. You know, my last name is hard to spell sometimes. And then we need that password for our database. And we're gonna get to the storage part here, and we're halfway through our time. But before we do that, we need to...
Let's just see if it works.
It won't, because they want you to generate a key like so.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
And then they want you to link the storage, and then they want you to run some database migrations. And all these commands I'm running right now are listed. I believe right here, most of them. Yes, we're doing this step. Okay, so
Great.
it wants me to cache some routes. And some more views. It wants me to run this config cache command, and then it wants to get Horizon set up. Okay. And now, last step is to make a Pixelfed service. So why don't you give us a quick intro into systemd, what it is, how it works, just for the general good of those watching.
So once upon a time, the Linux kernel would just start a process as the first process ID, and init was that process, and init would run a bunch of scripts in sequence. And the problem with init is it was a bunch of shell scripts, and you want to do things that are like fancy these days, like react to USB events and network devices and all sorts of things. And at some point, someone realized that your computer would start a lot faster if you didn't have a bunch of shell scripts doing sleeps, waiting for things to come up, and you could do some stuff in parallel. And so Linert went and rewrote all of the Unix world, and that's called systemd.
Amazing.
There it is. So you make a systemd unit, and you tell systemd how to start your service, and your service can then be run by systemd.
And what the main key here is this exec start links to that directory where we cloned the Pixelfed code. So that one can throw you up sometimes, or you can throw up on that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think what we need to do now is configure our Nginx server. So if you remember, we did that file at the beginning. And what we'll need to do is point it to the root, which happens to be
Public.
Oh,
didn't sudo.
I did not sudo.
Dun, dun, dun.
I need a sandwich. Sudo? Is it sudo or sudo?
Well, so it's short for super user do. My argument is the best way of knowing how to pronounce things is the etymology, the history of the word, which is why GIF is Vine. It's because the patent from CompuServe times was for vines.
I think I'm going to leave this bug here just for education purposes.
Why?
Because it's a common thing that most will run into. But let's go ahead and uncomment the fast CGI.
And it's PHP 8.1?
Yeah, 8.1. I don't think we need that. Yep. And then you'll notice that certbot put all this nice stuff in here for us so that
thanks, certbot.
It redirects from port 80 to 443, which is nice. Cool. So let's go ahead and see if it works. It doesn't work.
You need to restart Nginx.
Let's try that. Is it system control?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's taking a lot longer than I thought. Okay. Still a 403. What's going on? Well, if you remember,
Left a bug in.
there's this comment that says add index.php if you are using PHP. So let's go ahead and take that advice. And you do have to restart it. Ta-da!
Hey, ta-da! Photo sharing for everyone.
All right, so now we need to create an account for me, I think. How do I do that? This. So I have to go back into that var ww. Yeah. Oh, use sudo. Username
You have to
here.
give it. You have to give it your username.
Cannot find. Oh,
You
create.
have to make the user first. Yeah.
Where's the create command?
It's just in that number. It's in the. If you scroll up to section
Oh,
2.1,
user
it's that one.
create.
Yeah.
Oh, I was making.
And then make yourself. Oh, I errored again.
Got Dan.
Oh.
Oh. Okay. Dan.
Oh.
Dan. Dan. Storj.io.
Dan.
Dan. Dan the no. Yes. Okay. So I should be able to log in.
Hey.
In theory.
Hey.
Maybe I saved my same password. Hey, I used my same password. All right. So that's connected to storage, shall we?
Yeah. Well, first let's upload a picture so we can demonstrate the difference. Do you have two pictures? Let's do one with the default. Make sure it works.
Yeah, and let me make it so that you can sign up.
Oh, should I sign up?
Just to make it more fun.
Okay.
Open registration. True. And it turns out when you want to change the config, you have to run this artisan config cache.
That's a thing.
Do you have to? No, you don't have to restart the Nginx server. You just have to run that command. That's good to know. So now you'll notice there's this register button. All right, so I'm gonna, you know what? If I upload a picture, it's gonna kill my stream. So I'll see you all in 10 seconds.
I have many questions about what just happened.
Okay, I'm back. Entity
Dun 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 dun.
request is too large. You know what?
Wasn't there more than one thing you had to fix?
Yep. You remember I said, let's leave this bug in so that we know what it looks like. The symptom here is that our Nginx server defaults to a max body size of 1 megabyte. So when I uploaded a 2.5 megabyte file, it didn't work. So I changed that limit to be 20 megabytes, and then I need to restart my server. And this, if I upload this time, maybe I have to refresh. And I'll once again see everyone in 10 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Hello, this is my mountain. There we are. So have you made your account yet?
Yeah. I'm going to like your post once it loads.
Is it loading?
Yeah, I don't know what's up.
I think oh, I can't even like my own post. Let's see let's see what's happening. It says the stream or file could not be opened in append mode. Failed to open
You
stream.
gotta
Permission
re-chone it. You gotta chone and chmod because you did a bunch of setup commands as root after you did your chones.
So which one you want to redo?
Yep.
That one?
That one. That one's enough. Great. Now.
That one wasn't enough. Oh, you know what? I ran into this the other day. It's saying unable to read key from file. OAuth public key. So you would think that if you disabled OAuth, that it would be okay with this. But you'll notice it still gets that error. So
also do your chmod again.
OAuth. I need to run this command. No, not that command.
Okay. Well, that seems fine.
There's a OAuth command I need to run to set it up. I don't want to create the client. I want to set up maybe. I don't remember. Let's just go in here and passport. There it is. I need to generate that key file that it's looking for. Even though it's disabled. So now I should be able to like. I can like.
Hey, it's all working. I also can like.
How come I can't see you?
Nice mountain.
Did you not post yet? Hey.
I haven't posted yet.
I like that.
Oh, nice. Can I like my own comment? I did. I liked my own comment.
I have to refresh. Oh, we don't have WebSockets set up yet, so. Okay.
All right, let's convert it to storage.
Yeah, we have. Do you want to point out after the fact? Maybe we'll do that after.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is where you come in. How do I set it up on Storj?
You would be pleased to know that any application that supports S3 object storage can be used with storage. So if you open back the configuration file, the hidden env file, when we scroll down to S3, we can actually configure this to use storage directly. The things that are important are the AWS endpoint, the AWS access key ID, and the AWS secret key or the secret access key. We'll also need to configure the bucket. And for Pixelfed in particular, we'll need to configure the AWS URL. The reason for this is because, well, we can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, let's get started and generate some access keys. Okay. Are you going to show access key generation?
We got time. We got 20
We got time. So let's do it.
I think let's give the whole spiel. So I'm going to go to storj.io. Should I start for free?
Sure. Yeah, let's get started for free. If you sign up, you get 150 gigabytes free.
And I'm going to just call this Pixelfed. Last time I leaked my password, but if you were paying attention earlier, I also leaked my server key. So,
both of those things are concerning.
Well, it would be concerning if this was going to last past this stream, but I'm going to shut down the server. So
Great.
All right, so here I am. Well, which one should I choose?
Let's start with the uplink CLI. I think a lot of people are familiar with the web browser, but the CLI might be a good way of getting a new taste.
I should give it a name.
Yeah.
So what is an access grant?
So an access grant is our flexible, hierarchical, capability-based authorization scheme. And an access grant is essentially a serialized envelope that contains your encryption information, your authorization to the satellite, and information about which satellite you're even connecting to.
Okay.
You don't have a bucket yet, so this is fine. We'll start with a
Should I just give it
super powered
all
access permission.
Okay.
All permissions. Yeah, we'll restrict it in the CLI.
Oh,
okay,
you can
so you
restrict
need
it
these
later.
things.
That's good to know. Okay.
That's good to know. Yeah. Okay, so now what we need is you need a terminal with uplink installed. Do you have that?
Not yet. But I can hit next, right? And then it tells me to install it. Okay.
Did you download those things?
I'm downloading those things right now.
No, I mean the access grant or the access key.
I didn't.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Unzip. Apparently, I don't have unzip.
Okay, you've got uplink.
I want to go back.
Oh, nice. Okay, so now in this terminal over here, run /uplink setup.
And the dot slash is because I didn't put that last command to install it to my user local bin, right?
Let's just for the sake of this demo use a different name besides the default. Let's call this Pixelfed.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're gonna paste in the API key from the other. Yeah.
And that is a secret,
and the
right?
satellite.
So I just leaked it.
That is a secret. So we're going to delete these things after this webinar. That's the satellite address. That's not a secret. And then you're going to type in the passphrase that you want. Now, this passphrase is the passphrase that encrypts all of your data. And it's not leaving your computer. This is going to be stored in a file for the uplink configuration. The derived encryption information will be stored in a file. Okay. Would you like S3 backwards compatible gateway credentials?
I think I do.
Let's say no for now because we're going to make some restricted ones.
Okay.
Okay. So now if you do /uplink ls -- access equals Pixelfed. You will see, hit enter. There is nothing. We have to make a bucket. So it might be annoying to have to. So do MB.
MB stands for make bucket.
For make a bucket. Yep. So and then keep the access equals Pixelfed, but then at the very end.
Does it matter if it's before
MB,
or after?
It does, and then do SJ : / Pixelfed. So we're going to make a bucket. Now
bucket name is right there,
yep.
Right?
That's right.
And do buckets have to be uniquely named on Storj? A leading question.
Within your account, yes. In other accounts, no. So if you go up and rerun ls now,
I now have a bucket.
Great. So it might be annoying to keep typing access Pixelfed all the time. So do /uplink access, and let's look at the access commands that are available. One of the ones that's really interesting is use. So if you run uplink access use and then type Pixelfed, it's switched your default access to Pixelfed. So now run uplink access list.
Okay.
This is a good way of managing all of the different accesses that you might have for a local.
So you can almost have like multiple
accesses
in here.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to restrict an access. And you can do that through the uplink access restrict command, but it's also available through the uplink share command. Sharing something with someone typically involves restricting the access. So let's just use uplink share. So uplink share, let's look at the options when you run that. Oh, do -- help.
Or -H for sure.
So yes, so we're going to want to share.
Share, and I need flags.
You need flags. Let's see, what do we want here? We want the access registered, because this is how we're going to get an S3 API key. So uplink share -- register.
Register.
We're going to want to restrict it to the Pixelfed bucket.
How do I do
So
that?
SJ:// no dash Pixelfed, the name of the bucket. So what this will do, I don't remember what the default is for access. Let's just try this.
Oh,
Hit enter.
we got a comment from Lemary. Sorry for butchering your name. Please don't forget to change the API credentials after the stream. This is a great stream, by the way. Yes, yes, we do.
Of course,
need to,
yeah. No, we're going to delete all these credentials.
Delete these credentials. We need to delete the server key we leaked. Luckily, I didn't leak my storage account password, which I did on a previous stream. So we learned.
Okay, yeah, you should run this command. Okay, so what this did is, upload and deletes were disallowed. Okay, so we do need to rerun that command with a couple more options.
Okay.
So the defaults are to disable upload and deletes when you run share. So so after the -- register, add a disallowed deletes equals false. Actually,
Yes.
let's leave that. Let's just say disallowed writes equals false. Disallowed writes equals false.
Disallow.
What we're going to do.
Okay.
Equals false. What this is going to do is we're going to preserve the delete restriction. So hit enter.
So disallow writes false means I'm allowing writes.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So what this means is, it still says upload.
Where are you looking so I can? Okay, upload disallowed, right?
So something went wrong there. Can we go look at the configuration, the options in the help? Did we do something wrong?
Link share.
If you scroll up.
This one?
Did we spell it wrong?
Disallow writes equals false. It seems to be spelled how I would spell it.
Yeah.
Spelled it.
Huh.
What were you expecting to happen? So when I run
what I was
command,
expecting to happen is that to allow writes. But it sure says disallowed there.
So
okay, well, I didn't mean to reveal a bug right now, but I'm going to have to go look into that. In the meantime, let's use the web UI to generate this same type of credential.
Okay.
So if you go back to the web interface,
click
click continue. Click continue. Click continue.
Okay.
Yeah, continue.
I'm sensing a pattern. Continue.
Yeah.
So what we skipped over there was the make bucket and uploading your first file, which it's a good exercise to go through if you've never done it before.
Yeah.
All right. So on the left-hand side, I assume access.
Yep.
And now.
So we're going to create S3 credentials here.
Okay.
S3 credentials. Let's just call this Pixelfed again.
Can I give it the same name?
Yeah, that's fine. And get rid of the delete credential. And restrict it to the bucket that we have.
Pixelfed.
Now, the benefit of getting rid of the delete credential is it means that this bucket will be ransomware resistant. You can't delete and you can't replace objects when the delete permission is gone. So, okay, click encrypt my access.
That's almost like object lock, right?
Yeah.
But just for this credential. Okay.
That's
cool.
right. So what we're going to do with this S3 credential Oh yeah. Okay, you can close this.
So
Click continue.
that's some good information to read up on for another stream. Okay.
Yeah. So even though we just said that business about server-side encryption, this part of entering your passphrase is all processed in the JavaScript on the client side. So we've actually gone and compiled our Go code, so it's running in your browser right now. So you need to type in, this is important, you need to type in the exact same password that you typed in the CLI.
Okay.
If you don't type in the exact same passphrase here,
I'm gonna reveal once again my passphrase. So I hit download now?
Yep.
Okay. And I tend to actually have a lot of these passphrases because I set up quite a few buckets. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this to Pixelfed. Had I made a more secure password, that would have been good practice. Or even put it in a password manager, right? Okay. So I understand that my data is lost if I forget this password. Is that true?
That is true.
And why is that?
That's because we use end-to-end encryption. So we actually don't store passwords. Every time you access your data, the client itself that's interacting with your data is what is responsible for doing the decryption. And that way, if for some reason we are hacked, that's actually not an issue that you have to worry about. We can't access your data. So yeah, so if you'll take this access key and secret key and go plot this into the Pixelfed config.
Oh, oops. You go back to that HTML directory. Access key.
Yeah, I think you want to change the file system driver option also.
At the top, right? Yeah. I want to enable this to true.
No, that's PF enable cloud. Oh, I don't know. Well, then there's file system driver is
so
S3.
Yeah. A confusing thing is you don't change the file system driver.
Oh, okay.
You leave it at local, but you do enable the cloud.
Okay.
I learned that the hard way. And the hard way being I read on a GitHub issue. All right, so the region doesn't necessarily matter for our S3 compatibility, but I can just put something
Storage is globally distributed.
I can just put US1 to just match here just for my own reference. Okay, so my bucket name was Pixelfed.
And you have an endpoint.
And my endpoint is right here.
Yep. Okay, now this last business is interesting.
This one,
the AWS URL, the last value we need to set. So one interesting aspect of S3 is that you can have a bucket that is publicly accessible. In storage, you can also share buckets publicly, but our mechanism is a little bit different. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that you have opted into the exact right access credentials that you want to share. And this is where we're going to restrict even further what can be read and what can happen when someone is accessing the bucket publicly. So if you save this for just a second, and let's open up the uplink command. So if you go back to your home directory, you can just type cd and it'll take you back to the last place you are. Yeah. So do /uplink. Share. And this time we're going to do --URL. And we're going to do -- disallow lists.
And so list means they can't get all the objects in the bucket, right?
That's right. You can only access objects that you know the exact path to. You won't be able to browse around. So sj://pixel. Yeah, let's share that whole bucket.
Okay.
You could just share a prefix if you wanted, but this one will work like this. Yeah, you have to do not after equals none. That's okay. We're going to make this a non-expiring access grant.
Like so.
Okay, great. Okay, so upload, list, and delete are all disallowed, but download is allowed. The path is the entire bucket, and there's no time restriction. So this URL right here, this browser URL at the very bottom.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. The browser URL at the entire at the bottom.
This one.
That is your AWS URL for Pixelfed.
Okay.
You might need a slash at the end.
I think they use the PHP file path combiner thing.
The file path join thing. Should be safe.
I don't know if it
all right. Let's regenerate that cache and upload a photo and see if it shows up on storage.
Okay.
You regenerated it?
I did. Configuration cache successfully. You think that's all I need to do?
I don't know. We'll find out, I suppose.
Yeah, let's find out. So the fun thing is I'll see you all after this uploads in 10 seconds. All right, I should be back. I was moving my head around in a silly way, but all right, cats.
I don't think we need to restart Nginx or any of the workers.
Probably. Okay.
Let's do it.
Restart Nginx. Restart. And then
let's also restart Pixelfed and PHP FPM.
And I just happen to have this over here. But I'll type it out just for good measure. Restart PHP 8.1. Okay. And then that service we made called Pixelfed also needs to be restarted. Okay, so now you're saying it should read that new config. I shouldn't talk while this is happening. All right. I'm back. So I just have slow internet, everyone. I'm sorry. What are these? Raspberries? Raspberries.
Are you sure the storage provider isn't S3? Because I did change it on the instance last night.
Oh. Well, let's see what you did. I thought it already said. Oh, you did change it.
Dun, 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 dun.
But I didn't change it, and it was working. All right, so let's do let's look at the
database.
Oh, database. Select ID CDN URL from media CND. So it populated the URLs.
Do those work?
Those work. Oh, you know what?
Ha!
We didn't say...
There's the corn dog sandwich.
We didn't say raw. Do we need to?
That's true. That's probably a good idea.
Okay, so...
Okay, so Dan points out that the URL that we got back from uplink share is to a wrapped URL, but we want to link to the image directly. And the way to do that is to change that S to a raw.
Well, while we're here, let's explore this little graph over here.
This is a real graph. We actually went and geolocated the IP addresses where this picture of corn dog, chicken sandwich, and romaine with ketchup is actually located around the world.
And a dot for pieces of that file being distributed.
Yeah.
which is awesome.
This is real. Yep. Okay.
Back to what we were doing.
Stop showing the ketchup. That's too
So
much.
the way that we get around that is to just use raw.
Raw.
And you're
And
saying
then while you're at it, I think
I should
might as
change
well.
that to S3.
Maybe does nothing.
And then I need to do that cache thing. I need to restart.
And then restart everything. You can just restart each, you put them all on the same restart call, I think.
What were they all called?
PHP 8.1 -FPM. Yep. There you go.
Can you also do status on all of them?
I don't know.
Hey, that's cool. You can. All right. So now you're thinking it'll work. Let's do the mountain again. See you in 10 seconds. All right, I'm back. And this is my mountain.
Did it work?
I believe so. I am inspecting this code.
Oh, look at that. It worked.
I clicked on. How do I hide this bottom thing? So as JT says it worked, he is looking at the source of this image and it is being served from the storage share URL. So, great. Let's do a slam dunk here. Let's find this said link in our UI.
Oh, you got to change the raw back to an S. Yeah.
Okay,
there it is.
So it looks like it's using this huge path to store this file. So, what if I fat finger this?
Oh yeah, what happens if you give it a different passphrase?
Yeah,
a different passphrase. Guess
there's
what?
Nothing here.
You'll see nothing because it can't decrypt anything. None of the objects that you have uploaded are decryptable with the passphrase that you gave it.
So
we are trialing some user experience improvements to indicate that there are some undecryptable files available. But as it stands right now, the only way to access your data is with the passphrase that you have, and we can't access it without it. So if you're wondering if your bucket has stuff in it that you don't know about, there is an option on the command line. If you go to the command line and do uplink, you'll need to go, uplink ls -- encrypted, -- recursive, and then just hit enter. This will list all of your objects with their encrypted path names. Oh, you might have to give it the bucket name. You're right. sj://pixelfed.
Oh. Neat.
These are all of the paths that have been uploaded. We can't decrypt them. You'll need a passphrase to be able to decrypt all of these. This is a good way of knowing if there is content. If you're trying to empty out a bucket, the remove command also has a -- encrypted option, and you can delete paths without knowing what their path name is.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Ta-da!
All right, so
hooray!
MV2. It was the 209. And then it was HQX. And then it is the C6CG. Oh, I see. That's just the thumbnail.
And the original. The thumbnail is almost as big as the original.
Yeah, I was gonna notice.
There it is.
Awesome.
There's that crazy sandwich.
So we have
too much ketchup.
Wait, how come that was? I thought I copied.
Wait, go to my profile. I have a great photo I uploaded.
I thought I copied this one. I guess I didn't.
Well,
anyway.
Go to your home feed.
Let's see what's trending.
There, that yak, that guy, he's shaving a yak. He's got his razor out. Look at that yak shaving.
I'm gonna share this on mine, and then I'm gonna flag it, bookmark it,
Bookmarked.
and then I'm gonna flag it. I report this because I'm an admin. Uh, um,
I'm, I'm in this picture
impersonation.
and I don't like it. Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
You are
Uh,
impersonating me.
awesome, JT. Thanks so much for joining me today. I
Hey,
think
thanks to everyone who joined watching. This was fun setting up software to use storage. Other software that is S3 compatible is pretty much equivalent. It's a straightforward process where most of the work is figuring out the software that you're configuring. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
this
Majority
looks
of our time was just setting up PHP and the HTTP server, but once we got to the storage part, it was pretty straightforward.
we'll get that weird uplink disallow rights thing
Oh yeah, yeah.
investigated. That may have just been a wacky thing, but we'll figure out what happened.
Uh, so we'll take questions from the chat. I think we have. That took a little longer than we thought, but if anyone has a burning question, we do have our chief architect here. You can ask questions from him. While you're thinking
We
of
also have
those,
our wonderful developer advocate who
we have our
probably
developer
knows all the answers and has
avocado.
them all right in the little developer avocado.
While you're thinking of some questions, I'm going to go delete that access.
Great. Oh yeah, this is how you revoke things.
So I should just
Just
delete
delete
both.
it. Yep, those things are no longer usable.
Okay, and then I'm going to just go shut down both these servers. And then those leaked server secrets don't matter anymore because the server's not running.
Ta-da!
All right. Let's see. Health Technology Solutions says thank you. Hey, you're welcome. Glad you could join us today. I think there's no questions today. Maybe the stream was long enough that no one needed to make it longer. So let's go ahead and close this out. You can
All right.
reach me personally by emailing me at danw@storj.io. I'll type that in the chat. Any developer related questions with storage, please email me or go to our forums, forum.storj.io, and we got a great team there that's always willing to help. And let's just keep building things on storage.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. See ya.